Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone to today's Chapter Leader webinar, Cvent Q&A. My name is Jenna Davis, Manager, Chapter Operations for HFMA, and I'll be serving as your moderator for today's webinar. If you have questions at any time during the webinar, type them into the Q&A or chat pod, and we'll address those during today's presentation. This webinar is being recorded and will be available next week. At the end of the presentation, you'll receive an email to complete an online evaluation. Your feedback is very important to us, so please take just a few minutes to complete it, please. And at this time, it's my pleasure to introduce today's presenters, Neha Tiwari and Mackenzie Adams with Cvent. And now I'd like to turn things over to Mackenzie.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mackenzie, and I'm a solutions specialist with Cvent. So essentially what that entails is I'm on a team of product experts, and we're generally looped in on calls for any sort of questions, event reviews, and general tips and tricks while we're building. So I would definitely be happy to go through, demonstrate, and answer any questions that we have today. Okay, so right now, let me know if you can see that. We do have a demonstration event up on the screen currently. So.
Yep, we can see your screen. Thank you.
No problem at all. So from what I can see, of the first of the questions that we have submitted is that in event configuration, event resources can be selected. And so the question was how to effectively set up speakers, rooms, and everything of the sort. So what we would be able to do is we would be able to go through in the admin level and set up our resource management. So from there, what we would be able to set up, we can set up different resources that we have. So say, for example, if you had specific rooms that you wanted to rent out for sessions, specific laptops for presentations, iPads, anything of the sort. So just give me a second here, and we can So the resource management is handled at the admin level. So we would go up at the very top and we would enter admin through here.
Yeah, and Mackenzie, unfortunately our chapter leaders don't have admin access. So for this, they would most likely need to contact us, or is this something that Cvent could help them with if it's event specific?
So what would happen with this is the resources themselves would need to be created at the admin level, but once they are created at the admin level, you would be able to assign them to specific sessions within the event. So.
Okay.
Okay, so for example, so where they may not have the admin access, so would you rather I demonstrated just how you would assign like certain things to an event, or how would you want to set that up there?
Yeah, kind of skip the admin access because, yeah, we're the only ones at HFMA that has that access, so I apologize.
Okay. Oh, no problem there, so all apologies. So what we would do is we would go through here, so yeah, first we would go in and we would bring up a session that you would like to assign those to. So say, for example, we bring up a session, and then from here, currently you would click Edit, and any sort of resources that you have available, you can click and reserve them. So say, for example, if you have any sort of resource, any sort of company laptop set up, or any resources in particular, so whichever resources you would want to be assigned, you would go in and through the session page itself is where you would be able to assign these. So outside of that, is there any further questions or anything pertaining to assigning those resources to the session?
Not with that one.
Okay. So that should be no problem there. Now,
but I know the second question we have coming up, I ask this myself quite often, so you let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, no problem. So from what I can see, the second question that we have in the list is if you can edit sessions in the registration process. So for example, if can you hide the description of the session to shorten the selection process?
Mm-hmm.
So from what I'm assuming, like when you're going through registration, can you hide certain aspects of that, such as like to hide the descriptions and everything from a session? Is that kind of what you're looking for there? So,
Yes, or
okay.
shorten those so they don't make the page 10 miles long.
Mm-hmm. So that's definitely understandable. Now, what we would be able to do is we would be able to have it set up so that you can toggle certain aspects of what's displayed within the session widget. So say, for example, such like I'll have a demonstration session and we'll have a description set up here. So we'll save this. And just bear with me one moment. We're going to go in now to the registration where it displays all the certain sessions. Now, what you will be able to see is right now, let me go through and get this all set up, is within the session widget, you will have display options for the description, the location, the capacity, and everything of the sort here. Now, it does take a second for changes that you make within the session to display in the site designer. So let me just go back and verify that that session description is saved. Let's go through here. Yeah, so we have description. Okay, so right now, as you can see, within the sessions widget right now, we do have it set up so that we have the description currently accessible. Now, if you click on the sessions widget, you will have various things that you can display on and off, including the location if necessary, the capacity, any sort of fees. You can turn the fees on and off, but you can also hide the descriptions for each session. So from there, to cut down on what's displayed within the session widget, you will be able to use these toggles in the site designer to to choose what and what isn't displayed for that session.
Great, that's helpful. Thank you.
No problem at all. Okay, so now for the third question that we have, we do have a question where how the sessions are listed on the agenda appear to be random. Now in Classic, there is a way to select the order of sessions during a specific time slot, and you want to see how that can be arranged within the Flex designer. Is that correct for each session in the agenda and the registration process? So.
Yes, and we actually ran into this, and I actually found this kind of by accident, going through our leadership training conference registration. In a session group, we had them grouped by time, but we would like them to appear in a certain order. So if you could review that too, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we would be able to do is with sessions on the same page, when you click on the session widget, there is an option to order the sessions by up to 3 various levels. So say, for example, you can set it up so that the first they are grouped by the start date, second they are grouped by the start time, and then if there's multiple sessions that start at the same date and the same time, you would be able to order the third one by a couple of different features. So that can be by the session category, the session code, or the location. And based on that, it will order them by alphabetical order, or in the case of session categories, you can you can make it so that certain categories appear in certain orders. So you will be able to select multiple levels of how those sessions will be displayed.
And then there was another, not necessarily in the widget, but in the event itself in the sessions. under advanced settings, I saw something in there that you could prioritize the number. Say you had 10 sessions in the time frame from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. So to be able to order those, put those in order specifically is kind of what I'm asking. Would you do that here, or I found it in the session information?
Yeah, within the session information, so this is how you would order them from the event website itself, but you will also be able to add kind of further information from there through the sessions itself widget. So what you would be able to add a particular display priority to each session. So just bear with me a moment here. I can get you back to that. So what you would do in that situation is you would go in and we would open up the list of sessions under event details and sessions. Now you would click on a particular session, and under advanced settings you would have an option for the display priority. Let's give it a second for that to kind of display here. Yeah, so right now you would be able to edit this number. So say, for example, if you have multiple sessions that are coming up at the same date or the same time, you will be able to use this number to make it so that it will be prioritized over certain sessions. So that way you can make sure that they come in the order that you want them to be.
Yeah, that was very helpful. It was very helpful in order to have consistency with the session groups and numbering. It was the same amount of sessions in each group, just at different times. So this was very helpful. Thank you.
No problem. One thing that I will note as a best practice, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a caveat, but when you're going through and you're in the site designer, what's displayed while you're editing the website is not always indicative of what will be displayed once you're actually previewing and going through the live site. And by that I mean the session widget, when it's in the site designer, will show every session available, even if it's not applicable to that path, for example. So sometimes you will see everything's are a little bit out of whack there, but when you go to actually preview the site itself, they definitely should be in the proper order, like of how it's prioritized. So even if you don't see that within the site designer, if you preview the website itself, like the live version, you should definitely see that in the proper order as well.
That's a great point. Actually, we had a really good question that just came into Q&A. He says, hi, can we just take a step back? I'm not familiar with our Cvent events with Flex or the new look. They're used to standard, but we've been using Flex. This is the first time that they've seen this. Could you go back to the beginning and just show them how they can set up a Flex event?
Oh, absolutely.
Just a real Cliff Notes version of it. But yeah, I think that might help.
Yeah, so like set it up from like scratch, like creating the event like from the very beginning, or how did you want that to be set up?
Just from like the very beginning, so they can see the different options and see what kind of, how to select Flex, because it is a little different.
Okay, yeah, no problem at all. So just bear with me a second here. So right now within the list of events, on the Create Event screen, you will have some options to create either for a new event, using existing event, and so on. So what we would do is we would select Flex, like it would be under standard registration. And from here, it's fairly similar. You would set up some test titles. You would set up the description of the event and everything. You would set the date and the time, everything of the sort. You could set the location if necessary, if it's using a particular hotel. You can add any other sort of contact information or anything from here. You can add the name of the event planner. Okay. Okay, and so once you click next through here, so it's like you would also create you would also be sure to select the category. Once you go through from here, and you will be able to select the particular features that you want in Flex as well. So say, for example, if you want your admission items or your tickets, your fees, your everything, this can all be created during the wizard. This can all be selected during the wizard while you're registering, and it can also be selected once the event is created. I can just go through that very quickly as well. So you would go through, you would turn on all the applicable types that you wanted. Go through here. You would click finish, and it gives us a little progress bar.
And while we're going through that, there's another question that's popped up, and I just want to address that real quick.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
So we've been asked if there's an overview for benefits, what Flex offers over Classic. So this is the new format, or I would say new framework that we have for creating events. So although the event creation visit looks exactly similar to what Classic was, the event, how it looks like both to you as a planner and to the person who's registering for this event is going to be completely different. So even before setting this up, Mackenzie, if you just click on that preview, just with the basic skeleton, you would see this is more user-friendly, user-intuitive, and at the same time, someone who may not have the knowledge of advanced coding or HTML, they still are able to design good-looking websites as it's based on a widget model. So you will get multiple widgets available to you while you're designing the website that you can drag and drop. The same goes for images. You don't have to worry about, trying to make sure that it's of the right size. It's going to adjust automatically, and you're able to, do a lot more, I would say, with your websites as well as with your registration process using this framework, which is just dragging, dropping these widgets and putting them into your site.
Right. So can we show them the template, because we have a template that we want everybody using because it already has the images in there and everything. And when you created this event, you could have picked the Flex template that's out there for an event, and then that's already populated for the chapters.
Absolutely, yes. Do you want to share the screen on that template as well, real quick?
Sure. Yeah, that would be great. Actually, I think if you just want to share, are you in our account right now, Mackenzie?
Oh, no, I'm in my own account currently.
Okay.
It's just if you wish, I can log into your account. I won't be able to do this, but I can still demonstrate. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you want to just log into our account, and you can show the LTC, 2020 LTC, Leadership Training Conference. It's already built, but it's the same template. So the pictures and images would be in there.
Yeah, no problem. So just give me 1 second here. I'm just going to
thank you.
Open that up in a new window. Okay, and you said it was 2020 LTC was the name of it. Is that correct?
Sorry, I muted my line. It's 2020 Leadership Training Conference.
Okay, so here.
And while we're pulling that up, another question, if we convert an existing Classic event to a Flex event, we cannot. It has to be created from scratch, and that's why we have now created event.
Go to the preview.
That you'll be able to take help from in creating your new events, but we cannot convert existing Classic events to Flex.
So this template is built with the banner image back here, and then you can click and drag things into these other sections. So if you scroll down, Mackenzie, the bottom is the same as that template that he just showed a minute ago, so you can see the days to go, all of that, but the colors the color scheme that's on here are the HFMA branding guidelines. So the buttons and everything follow the color scheme that we have for HFMA. So that's why it's easier if you want to start with these templates because they're already kind of pre-populated with all of those things, and you don't have to recreate the wheel.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that there, it's definitely a lot more user-friendly, whereas in the classic events, when you were building out the site, it was just a matter of using HTML coding, where in where in the Flex Site Builder, you can just click and drag a text box over and edit that text box however you want, and same with images and everything. So it is a lot more intuitive and user-friendly and easier to build sites on this way.
And there's banners and images that will be in the media library. We're doing that today. And so the HFMA logo that's at the top here is white, and we've redesigned all the chapter logos in white as well. So there'll be a folder out on the media library for everybody to be able to get to their logos, and then the banner that's behind that leadership training conference, there's other banners if you wanted to switch those out. There's other approved banners with images out there as well in a folder with the dimensions for Flex.
Okay, now one thing with this, while we are here, there was another question that pertained to the web page itself. Is it all right if I skip ahead just a little bit to answer that while we are in here? So.
Of course.
Okay, so currently one of the questions that we have, is there a way to add a web page and customize the size, the pictures when utilizing the template that has been pre-populated? So just for clarification on that, are you looking to build a custom page for the event itself, just like based with, like kind of based on everything that we have currently in here? Is that how we're looking to set that up? Or? Just want some clarification on that question in particular.
Yeah, I believe that's the case.
Okay, so what we would be able to do is from the event website itself, you will definitely be able to add custom pages on top of what we currently have from the pre-generated ones. So let's open up the site designer real quick. So right now what you will see is the template, the theme, the header and footer and everything. This will apply to all new web pages and everything that you do create. Now, so what you will see in the site designer, if you open up the little editor menu and at the very top of where it has website pages, there is a button where you can click to create a new page. Now, what will happen with this is if we create a new page, it will keep the same theme, it will keep the same, so the colors and everything will be there. The header and footer will carry over, but it will essentially be a blank page that you will then be able to add widgets to and design to your to how you like it. So.
Great.
So that should be no trouble there. So let's go. Okay, so now aside from that, I do see that one of the next questions that we have going back. So is there a way that allows for multiple registrations under one admission item that would enable capturing the hours for all of the registrants under the group admission? For instance, we want to have an admission item for a group of 3 registrants at special pricing. In Cvent, the one registering would be the only individual captured and not the other 2 in which the promotional fee is set up for. So just to clarify, what we're looking to do with that is you're looking so that one person registers under that promotional pricing. They're able to bring up to 2 more people, but they will also, those 2 people will also be added to the attendees list with their emails and everything. Is that kind of how we want that set up? Or?
That is correct, yeah. So there's a lot of chapters that do like provider 5-packs, or they allow 3 people to come from one organization and then they get a break on the pricing. So the way I would see that question is, if one person registered all 3 individuals, how would they all show up on the attendee list?
Okay.
And not as a guest.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm just double checking to see what's enabled. We may be able to get this set up using the group registration. Now, how that would be set up is we would need to set that up as a particular registration type. So I'd say, for example, if somebody was registering as a group, they would have some sort of group registration type. They would be able to add the however many people that is that would be necessary to be included, and that would all be charged that one cost, like rather than each person being charged for that attendance. So.
Is that turned on Flex?
Let me see what we have turned on currently on the event. Okay, yeah, so I do see right now, currently group registration is turned on in this particular event. So so we would be able to set it up. Essentially what you would need, so what you would be able to do is we would set it up so that one person registers like under the group registration type. They would be able to go through, add different group members just to match up. So like it would be 3, for example, and then they would be charged the one cost, but each registration will be added to the attendees list.
Can you show where that is?
Yeah, just bear with me one second here. Let's get this all up.
And how you would manage the group registration? I think that would be helpful.
No problem. So let me first just verify what we have in terms.
Oh, I don't want you to do this in my event. Are you in my event?
No, I'm in my event currently.
Oh,
right
okay.
now.
Thank you. I'm like, oh, I saw something. I was like, oh, dear goodness. I don't want to start over. Thank you.
No. I'm not going to make any changes.
All right. Thanks. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to.
No, absolutely. I absolutely don't want to make any changes or anything like that. So let me just give me one second here. I'm going to build it out on in my test event really quickly, just to ensure that it comes out properly, and then I can guide you through the steps. So aside from that, though, while I'm building that out, is there any other questions pertaining to this or anything else that you wanted to go over while we have me here? So.
Are you getting into the group registration? You're going to show that?
Yeah. I'm just building it out on my end first, so that I can show you exactly how it.
Okay. So I think when you're in the registration process, I think there was another question that was pertaining to the session detail on the registration, when they were selecting the sessions. Is there a way, if that's listed on the website, is there a way to decrease that or eliminate it on the registration process so it doesn't make it so long?
Yeah, no problem. So while we're here, so just give me a second here. I can demonstrate that. So I'm only in preview mode, so none of the data will be collected. But just give me one second here while I fill this out. And we'll get to the sessions page. So right now, from what we can see, is it has a list of the sessions, and it has all the descriptions and everything.
Right.
Now, so what we will be able to do is we will be there is a toggle within the description, the session widget, that we can toggle the descriptions off, but it would be sort of an on-off situation. We wouldn't be able to toggle that for specific sessions or or just kind of limit it to a certain size. It would just be a matter of is the description displayed for each session yes or no.
And where is that located?
Okay, so to do that, within the site designer itself, let me just pull this up real quick. So once you're here and you see the list of sessions, if you click on the sessions widget, there will be a menu that pops up on the side. If you scroll down, there's toggles for display options. So from here, you can turn on or off different things such as capacity and description. In this case, you would just toggle off the description, and that will remove the descriptions from any of those from there. So.
Okay. I don't want that for this event, but that's nice to know where that's at. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem at all. So that's if in particular any event that you want to build out, that would be where you would turn that off. So.
Okay, thank you.
No problem at all. Yes, I'm just going to leave. No changes would be saved there. So.
I don't see any questions in the Q&A either. So I think when we get through the group question, do you guys have any other questions? So if any of the participants on today's webinar have any questions, please put them in the chat or in the Q&A folder, and we'll get those answered as well.
Jenna, I believe
did
there
have-
were questions on the timeline or the cutoff.
I just saw that. Yep, I just saw those.
Yeah. So I think I can take some of these.
Okay.
So is Classic Design View still going to be available moving forward, or will it be phased out? And Linker, the answer is it's going to be phased out. Cvent won't support the Classic once you know, Flex is designed and built to its full potential. Then Classic, you'll be able to you could still copy over a template, or not a template, but an event, but it won't be something that will be on our available to like build new events. And Flex format moving forward would be the required format from Cvent. Is there going to be a discussion on survey evaluation setup and use? We absolutely can, because the surveys in Flex are 100% improvement from what the Classic surveys are. So we can touch base on that as well. So whenever you're ready to.
It's no trouble there. Okay, so it's just about ready now. So I'm just launching the test event that I've built out of my account, so I can show you how to set up that group registration. So
Yeah, so it would be good for us to see that on how you're doing it, because that's what this is for them to be able to see what's going on. So if you want to share your screen when you're building those things out, that would be helpful.
yeah, no problem at all. So I've just set the ground so that we're able to do it. So I'm going to run through the process now and show you how to get that all set up. So just give me 1 second here.
And Linker, we are going to have a session just on Flex for Cvent the entire day on Monday, and absolutely we'll have knowledge share. We will have a few individuals from Cvent there, as well as a staff member from our team. So the question was, will we have knowledge share for Flex at LTC? And the answer is yes.
All right, so now what we will be able to do is first on the registration path that you have, you would click on the little gear for settings, and from here you can set up the information for group registration. So in this case, you can ask the maximum number of group members a registrant can add. So say, for example, if you want a certain registration type to be able to have 3 members in total, the person registering and 2 extra guests, you can set the number of the amount of extra guests that they are able to bring. Now, what you are going to be able to do also is you would limit the registration types that group members will be able to choose from. And specifically what you would want to do is you would want to set a registration type for group members that are being added, so otherwise they won't be charged extra, like based on just the one fee that they will be paying. So rather than 3 people attending, 3 people paying ticket price, it will be 1 person paying the ticket price, and their 2 group members that they are bringing, they won't be paying any extra because it will be included in the ticket price that the first person paid. So what you would do is you would set it up so that they would be limited to only select the group registration type. Like that, in this case, it would be the group guest registration type that we would have. So I would apply, and so that would save the path for you. Now, what we would do, let me remove guest registration. Through here, make sure there's no widgets missing. Okay, so we'll save and publish that. And let's just run through the test. Okay, so we'll run through the test registration. So here. Now, so we would run through the registration. So the fees would be set up as you wish. Like in my case, just for demonstration purposes, the fees and everything would be free. But what you're looking for in particular is once the first person registered, there is going to be a button for Add Group Member. So what you would do is once you click Add Group Member, the second person would be able to register. And there. Let's see here. And we would add the third group member. So now what we would have is we would have the registration. We would have 3 people that have been added. They will all be added to the attendee list once it's registered. They will all be charged the they would be charged for the one admission item that the first group member would the first person that registered would be paying. And so that would go through from there. Okay, so we would have the registration, and we'll just give it one moment here. And so you will see now that once that registration goes through, all 3 people from that group registration will be added to the attendee of the invitees and registrants list. So you will see that all of them have been added.
Yeah, so that group registration will work perfect for that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem at all. Now,
and
what I will be able to do is, sorry to cut you off there. What I will be able to do as well is we do have a fairly robust article on group registration that has further details and everything, so I can make sure that's all sent along as well. So.
Okay. And then I think the survey and evaluation setup and use, could you touch on that a little bit?
Okay, so specifically, are you looking to have that set up for, I'm sorry, you're looking to have it up so that there's a survey collected when they're registering, or how would you like that all set up?
The survey that would go out after the event or for sessions, so session surveys and or overall survey that would go out after the event.
Okay, so just bear with me one second here.
As I'm kind of ad-libbing there, so whoever typed in that question, if I'm not saying that right, please type in another question.
Yeah, and so specifically, just to verify, is it like the post-feedback survey? So like once after they've attended the event, like you send the survey out to them and they're able to answer? Is that kind of what you're looking for from there? Or?
Just anything with the survey I think would be beneficial. So yeah, I'm saying, yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, no trouble at all.
The feedback survey, so it's just the sessions. If we can see where we set up the session surveys and then where the overall survey would come out of.
No trouble there. Okay, let's go through here.
And then while Mackenzie is doing that, just to address a part of that, within event surveys, event feedback surveys, we have both the classic and the flex version. Now that is being developed in phases, so you may not see full functionality when it comes to question types in the feedback survey within the flex framework. And that is a selection that a planner would make when they're creating an event. So during the event creation wizard, or let's say as an after effect, you could always go to event configuration and choose the kind of survey that you would want to create. a standard or new survey, but there are, I believe, certain limitations when it comes to question types on the Flex feedback survey for now.
The biggest thing for us is the overall survey. There's a requirement for education quality, and it's the event overall question that goes out after a conference. And so that is where we need to make sure that they know where to go to build that.
Absolutely. I think those are the kind of questions that should be available for now. There are certain types that are not available, but if
we don't do any, I think it'll be okay.
Then you should be pretty good with the premium the new surveys.
So what you would do is first, in order to access the surveys, under website and registration, under surveys, you will have the feedback surveys option. And once you click on that, you will be able to it'll ask you first whether you want to set up a basic or a premium survey. So we will click through here. Now what you will be able to do is you'll be able to create a new copy from an existing one that you have, or link your event to a premium existing one if you've already created some in the past. In this case, we're just going to create a new one. So let's go through here. Okay, and so what you can do is you would open up the Survey Designer. And so from here you will be, it's fairly straightforward. You will be able to add, it looks like exactly like the Flex site designer. You will be able to go in, like set up event feedback, how likely are you, what you liked about the event and so on. You'll be able to drag over various questions, like say for example, okay, like how would you rate the following, like say for example, sessions available. And so, like, say, for example, you could add questions that are based off of star ratings. You could do, like, numbers from 1 to 10, 0 to 10. You could just a general question and answers to feedback. You can add everything all through there. So. You could set up, you could choose like different stars or emotions for like particular things. It's all very similar to the site designer itself in Flex. You would be able to drag the widget over and then edit the widgets to however you want it. So.
You show, this is nice, but can you show us too how you would set that up to be sent out?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
As well as the reporting afterwards.
Mm-hmm. So in this case, what you will be able to do is once you have a feedback survey sent out, like set up, you will be able to go into the event emails and set it up for some post-event feedback. So in order to do that, we would go to Promotion and Communication, and we would select Event Emails under Email. So now in this case, we would be able to go down and set up emails for the post-event emails, such as event feedback and the guest event feedback. So this is works similar to the email designer in Flex as well. You would have it set up so that you can edit the look of the email, and it will link you directly to the survey itself for them to take it. So let's go through there. And then so that is how you would set up the email, and you would be able to set up whether that's sent manually or sent out a certain amount of time after the event is closed.
Mackenzie, could you click on the event feedback again, and maybe we could show on the details page?
Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, so what you would be able to do is if you edit the details on the event feedback, so you can either set to send that manually through this page itself, or you can set it up so that the following date and time. So you can choose a specific date and time through the event itself. Say if you wanted to wait a week after the event was done or a couple of days, it will automatically send out to all the attendees this email where it will link them to that survey. And so once that's all sent out, the last thing you would need is the reporting. Now, in order to view the reporting, we would go to Reporting and Reports New. And if we scroll down under the event reports, there will be some sections for various, let's see here. Let's go. So let's.
I think that should be the answer summary report.
Yep. Should be so reports for answer summary. So we would go through here, and so right now, if you click on Run, that will generate the report, and it will bring that up for you from there. Now, as we have not done any sort of survey work or anything, there is no information in here currently. But this is essentially where you would go to generate that survey data. What I can do as well is we do also have a very good knowledge base article in the Cvent community as well that outlines step by step, so that once we do have some information in there, we'll give you some tips and tricks on how to best pull in those reports.
Perfect.
Okay, so
we have more questions here. Is there going to be a discussion on surveys? Okay, we did that. Is there an automatic report you can run that will summarize the evaluation without manually calculating your survey in Classic?
let's see here.
I don't think there is.
And just to kind of elaborate on that piece, is when you say summarize the evaluation, are there specific kind of questions that you're saying, you know, rate the event, let's say on a scale of this 1 to 10, 1 to 5, and you would want to know how many people rated it at a scale of 8 maybe? Is that the kind of evaluation question? What sort of evaluation are you looking at within surveys?
I would think for our education quality that we've been talking about with surveys, they're wanting to know for a specific event how many of those individuals rated it at a 5 or to 4 or to 3. Our surveys are on a 5-point scale.
Got it. Yeah, so within the new reports, there are ways that you can group the data together. So I believe once we have the data, and maybe that's something that I can find out in one of my test accounts to show how the report looks like. But I believe there should be a way to group the data together so we can see for every grade selected, how many people selected it. And if you were to click on that link, it would give you the details of the names of people who've actually given that answer. So you should have both a snapshot and the details.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great.
All right, so we are starting to come up on time there. So aside from that, is there any further questions or anything we can assist with today?
It doesn't appear that we have any more questions coming in the Q&A or the chat. We will be providing more information on Flex through this event tips that come out. And if there's anything that you need help with, if you could show where the help and support is, where you type in Mackenzie, so they know where to search when they need, when they're looking for things, that would be helpful. And then I guess if we don't have any other questions that come in, we can wrap it up.
Mm-hmm.
So absolutely. So the best resource that I would suggest is from when you're logged in. There is a link to go up to the Cvent community up at the very top of each page. So if you click on that, and once it logs in, we have a knowledge base. We have some very good support articles and everything all coming in. So say, for example, going back to the feedback survey, for example, like if you type in feedback survey, you would search your criteria. Various different things will come up. So what we can do is, and each article is tagged. So say, for example, you can see some that are applicable for just Classic, some that are applicable for both Classic and Flex. So say, for example, if you click on one, it will load up, it will have all of the information, and it will be able to just guide you step by step. In this case, it's a matter of once you have the survey created, it's how to set it up via the email and how to go through and view your reporting as well, all in this one article. So there are a lot of very good and useful resources coming in through the Cvent community.
Okay, it doesn't look like we've had any additional questions come in. Tracy, is there anything else you want to cover, or should I go ahead and wrap things up?
I think that will work for me.
Okay. Well, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank Mackenzie and Neha today for sharing all their knowledge and their expertise with everyone on today's call, and hope that we've provided you with some answers to your Cvent questions that have come up. As a final reminder, please complete the online evaluation that you're going to receive via email after this presentation. Your feedback is very important to us. Again, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you, our volunteers, for your time this afternoon and for giving your talents to HFMA and our members. And thank you again, everyone, for participating on today's webinar, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. This concludes today's webinar. Thank you.